You, Scott Schultz.
Yes, sir.
In the yesterday, you wake up. Did you think that it was going to be anything like what we heard and what we saw?
I was interested. I was calling around to my little friends trying to get an inside track on things, but no one really knew what was going on. And then, of course, everything unfolded the way that it did.
Thoughts on let's go through them. Which one do you want to go to first? Which one? If there's
overall, I mean, the CFL, it's been in a funk. I don't think anyone would say that it hasn't been, even though I heard in the last segment there's been 1%, 0.4% growth. Like that, you don't even talk about that. That's not growth,
That's right.
And so I don't think it's been any secret that the CFL's been stuck in a funk, and it's been flat attendance, flat TV, and flat growth. I mean, plus or minus 1%. I think the changes are shaking things up, but they're trying to appeal to new markets, and we can talk about this in a little bit. But I don't see them as crazy radical. It's more like tweaks to improve the product.
What markets do you think they're trying to appeal to?
Well, I just think, first of all, the outrage is from the diehard Canadian CFL fan, and they're certainly welcome to it. And I have ties to that, and there's things that I covet. But I think it's been proven in the last decade, it's been barely enough. Like that group has been barely enough to keep the CFL running and going. And so I think they're looking. I mean, they're doing this world thing. They're the international players. They've made all kinds of attempts to do things, and they've all fallen flat. And so now I think they're trying to streamline the appearance of the game, the flow of the game a little bit, to open it up to that casual audience, the new audience. And the diehard fans aren't going to want to hear that, but those are the fans and those are the dollars that are going to take the league forward. So it's a balancing act on how you're going to do that. And I get why people are upset.
Now, Scott, you're a businessman. You're in the insurance business. So can you see the dynamic at the CFL Board of Governors table with the 7 owners all losing money? And, of course, the two teams that have the best attendance, ironically, the two publicly owned teams. But would you want to be the commissioner in that situation? Because, that's a lot of balls to have in the air at the same time for Stuart Johnston.
Yeah, there's things there from a business perspective on just the CFL and above level. You're not looking at junior football and everything underneath at high school and college. Those guys do need to get a return on their investment, and it's always been the story that the lovable and accepting ownership groups of this league have just taken it on the chin, and they use it for their tax write-offs, and on and on and on it goes. But at some point, there's got to be some kind of attempt to increase revenues and get their money back. And again, I understand that the diehard CFL contingent doesn't want anything to change, but as your market share continues to shrink year over year over year, that's not maintaining the tradition. It's just going to fizzle out and die. Where at least these guys right now, they're trying to shake things up. Now I've got things that I like and dislike about what they've announced,
right.
But from that business perspective, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Brendan on the YouTube chat saying he loves the changes. Definitely there's more people messaging in that hate it. Like you said, the diehard, the CFL loyalists, Scott, for sure. Do you think there's any way that they walk a little bit, some of this back?
Well, they might get that knee-jerk reaction, and you might see some of that. I mean, with this, just look at what's happened in the last 5 years on things in the media and wokeness and up and down, and people do one thing and then the reaction and then they walk things back. So you never know. I would hope that they would, be able to stick to their guns a little bit, but even, the players' reactions, you heard Nathan Work, he doesn't like it. But I respect his passion. But some of his comments were hyperbolic. I mean, he mentioned the waggle, he mentioned 3 downs, he mentioned 12 players, the wide field, all that's staying intact, guys. So that's what's the uniqueness of the game. You know, being a yard off the ball, the 3 downs, the 12 players. So I think there's some fair criticism, but at the same time, it's not like they're ripping the fabric of the game apart. And some will say, well, this is the first step and all the rest of it. But from a business model point, they're at their wits' end and they're trying this now. And I think that if they did move closer to ripping out some of those things that I had mentioned, the 3 downs, the waggle, the 12 players, the wide field, then you would get some severe pushback.
And that's where there's a lot of paranoia, I think, with some people to be like, when are we going to 4 downs?
Yeah, is this the start?
When are we going to 11 guys? Because Schultz, when I broke it down last night, I don't even know why I was still thinking about this last night after everything yesterday. I couldn't remove myself from it. If we put ourselves in 2027, unless I'm missing something here, the 2 things that are similar to the American game, the only 2 are the length of the field, not even the end zones, and the goalpost will be at the back. Other than that, it's almost all different.
Exactly. Like the CFL has a deep tradition, and change feels like Americanization. I get it. People feel like they're losing identity, but we're not losing the rules that define the CFL. I mean, change is always going to be uncomfortable, but guys, the status quo was not working. Simple.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I think that's the bottom line, and you know, we don't sort of think of that in Saskatchewan as a whole, identity of what's going on with these owners losing money. And now, one thing that's interesting is there is a lot of concern about amateur football. Scott McCauley very upset, the coach of the Thunder, youth sports. But I think the good part about why did the commissioner do this interview yesterday of all times, the answer was very clear. He wanted to give amateur football, high school, university, junior football, as much leeway with time as possible. And you take a look at the turf here in Saskatchewan, the turf manufacturers say artificial turf lasts about a decade. So our turf went in 2017. The city has a budget. The city of Regina has a budget for new turf.
Allegedly,
for 2028 for new turf at Mosaic. You would think this would fit because you put it in the early in 2027. You don't stitch anything down. The paints on artificial turf have really improved. They come on well and they're washable. And, there could be a lot less hassle going on, say, at Mosaic than what you would think.
Good point.
Well, what gives me, just like what you guys say, like I'm not so excited about the immediate changes. Like I'm not excited, I'm not against them per se. And we can talk about them specifically because really what we've been talking about is a bunch of hyperbole of things that haven't happened yet or people fear to happen, right?
Yeah.
We're not talking about what actually has changed. And, so what gives me pause is that cascading effect. What does happen to youth sports and junior and high school? The field changes mean facilities, programs may need to adapt. But, the CFL, they must communicate clearly downstream and have a plan. And again, with the CFL doing what it does, it doesn't necessarily mean that all amateur football has to follow suit either.
That's right.
Everything's fine and the way it goes. And if kids have that opportunity to go to the CFL, their skills are going to transfer. They always have.
That's right. And interesting, Libel Field has never changed the hash marks as far as I know. When the league changed the hash marks and made them closer, Libel Field kept them where they were, and there have been no problems. I
think that turf should have been changed by now for the city. When you think about the 10-year...
Some people can keep it in perspective. Like we're not losing the waggle. We're not losing the downs. We're not going to 4 downs.
Man.
You don't grow a league by protecting tradition while shrinking. And it's a balance. I'm not saying throw the tradition out like the baby with the bathwater, but what I am saying is some of these things need to change. Like I I can't, like, some people are like, they love the clock situation. It's awful. 11 minutes to get through 1 minute of play is disgusting. And then it opens it up to the third party of the referees getting involved and their incompetence, which I think everyone can agree on, referee incompetence in this league. And so now you're going to continue to allow their incompetence to impact the games in the most pressure-filled moments, where I think if you get that running clock, you're going to get a real sense of urgency, and it's going to be the coaching staff and how they operate and how they can communicate with their teams on how to get a stop of the clock and get set up and continue on with the play that's going to either tie or win the game.
Back to the field thing in the amateur football, and I've texted Arash. He's coming up in hour 2. He's got a really good rebuttal on it that I'll just tease it and leave it at that. But part of me thinks, too, after last night, after listening, obviously amateur football, everything, we don't want Mosaic Stadium to just be used for CFL. Like, it doesn't make any sense as it is. We don't have concerts or anything in there. And then now we're just going to use it for that. But also, part of me thinks it's 2025. There are teams sharing turf, putting new paint on turf, new logos weekly down south. We have people living in outer space. Like, we might not be thinking clearly here. There might be a way to convert things a lot quicker in 2025. Just an idea.
Well, I think all those things can be true at the same time. And again, I want to be very clear. I'm not trying to say that the traditionalists are the ones that, or even if you're not so much of a traditionalist, but you just don't like these changes. I'm not saying you guys are whack or off kilter. I'm just saying you have to take a look at not just your perspective, meaning just my little traditionalist. You got to look at the league and what's happening and, what's the future of that? I mean, you look in Saskatchewan. I mean, everyone falls back in Saskatchewan and says, well, it's not the case in Saskatchewan, but it is the case. Attendance is down. If things were left to run exactly the way that they are, in 10 years, it's 10 years older people, and the younger people aren't coming and filling underneath and picking up that slack. And that's where you've got to look at some of these casual fans. You've got to look at different markets, and you've got to expand the game into those things. And I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to maintain the uniqueness of the CFL, but yet put it in a place that it's optically can be received by someone who's not an expert at what they're looking at.
Here's a good question someone just sent on the text line, and I usually don't read them if they don't leave their names, but I'm going to throw this out to you, and probably more to you, Schultz, and then, Don, you go. Do you think Jim Hobson, a true football person, great president, awesome promoter of Saskatchewan Roughrider and football, would be in agreement of these ridiculous changes? I said yeah. I think he would.
Well, I think look at Jim and what he's done. I think he's been the marquee of a guy that has been able to balance tradition with growth and change and moving forward. So maybe they would be tweaked a little bit, but he wouldn't have shied away from this. He wouldn't have dug his heels in the ground and said no. He would have worked with this just like the entire board of directors did, because it was unanimous, and they would have come to an agreement that would have been satisfactory to old Jimbo. And I'm not saying that he would wholesale check off on these, but I guarantee you some shape or form he would have signed off on and been valuable in developing this process.
What do you think?
Well, I agree totally with Scott, so I won't repeat what he said because I think he's bang on. I mean, Jim was a progressive thinker.
Yes, he was. That's the reason I said I think he would be on that side. It's hard to say, and that's a tough one. Which rule, if there was one, Schultz, that was a slam dunk for you? Was it the Rouge?
Well, the Rouge. To me, like I don't care. Then that's again. I played 9 years. I've been in situations where that's come into place. It's ridiculous.
And
like,
coached. And
to have a game come down and the struggle is real, and then a missed field goal and 1 point and then over. Like, it is ridiculous, and I don't care what anyone says about it. Could they have just addressed that? Sure, right? I would have been happy with that. But that Rouge, I don't get it. I never liked that. I never liked the impact that it had on the game, and it was just one of those. It's almost it reminds me of like a snarky liberal talking point. Like, we got the Rouge. Like, ha ha ha, we won. Like, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's like, it's one of those, it's a caveat. You know what I mean? It's a tiny toehold in a downhill, intellectually dishonest, disingenuous thought process.
Well, I'll throw something else at you. How tired I am of watching Andre Proulx
You don't like that guy.
decide when he's going to blow the play in. And you sit there, you go get a drink, you go get a popcorn, visit the washroom, and he still hasn't blown the play in. And it's not just him. I mean, but that is such an absolute waste of time on television when some lineman is just sort of,
Former defensive lineman here.
Not Scott Schultz. He wouldn't do that. But another defensive lineman who takes his time, and the referee says, "Oh, better let him get there. Give him some time. He's on the far bench because they're on the same side of the field, and I'll blow it in when he's ready. Oh, wait a minute. He looks like he's winded. I'll give him another few seconds." I mean, that is such a waste of time, and it drives you nuts.
It's very Winnipegish. There's no question about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's so much good in the league. Like you said, Schultz, it is change, and change a lot of times, comes with a lot of criticism, and we're seeing it, and it's loud. I hope it's good. We'll see in 5 years, right? We probably just sit back and laugh about this.
And that's the thing. Like they're making some changes. Like, I'm not ecstatic about all of it. Like, I think we could get away without changing the field, But I like the time clock. Hey, who would love more than a fat lineman to get the benches on either side? You try running 70 yards to the goal line in frickin' Hamilton in late July, when you're sucking air through your butt because you're already been down, and you got to cycle in and out. It's amateur. It's amateur
That's
hour
right.
that you got both on one side, and you got to run in like that.
No, 100%, Scott. You had to do it, 100%.
And so if that makes me not a traditionalist, I don't care. Someone very close to me said, put the ball down, blow the whistle. So, I mean, it really boils down to that. Let's keep our league intact. There's going to be changes, but come on, people, like relax.
And if anyone's watching the stream, you got to check this out. Do you guys remember? This was, I got to give a plug. I found it on, I saw it on Twitter last night. That is the old Memphis Mad Dogs.
Oh, wow.
And it's vintage Sasko on Twitter. Look at that beauty of an end zone.
I don't know if Scott can see it or not.
Oh, what?
Oh,
wouldn't that be something, Schultz, eh?
The stories Eddie Davis could tell.
That would be like sort of playing football in a hockey arena, really.
Yeah,
Basically the same difference.
What are we, Iowa Barnstormers?
It's
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting how back in the 80s, it doesn't matter what sport, how it was okay to have different fields, different ice, different hockey rinks for different sizes. Baseball's never been the same.
On two different NFL preseason seasons in 01 and 02, I played on a hybrid baseball football field twice.
Hybrid,
the number
wow.
one league in the world. So let's just, and I'm not saying, listen, I'll be the first one to storm the castle when they start talking about the yard, or they start talking about the downs, or they start talking about the width.
Yeah.
Those kinds of, the waggle. I mean, that is, as long as we have those things intact, I'm willing to see if there is something to these, national-wide businessmen trying to tweak the league to
that's
make
right.
things better.
And what has the pitch clock done for baseball? A lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ugh.
I'm sure Arash will get into that as well. All right. What's up at Lakeview Insurance? Just call you and you come out for a coffee and talk CFL rule changes?
Call me, find me on Facebook. Harvest is in the thick of things. When things settle down, farmers, we've got seed grower programs. We've got all kinds of action for agribusiness. Give your boy a call.
Schultz, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for taking time today, man.
Thanks, guys. Always fun being on there. Looking forward to seeing you soon.